When I was 5 years old, my mother used to play the flute as a hobby. And she took me one day to a friend of hers for me to play in the garden on this nice swing. And I was sitting on the swing, and then I heard this particular sound. And I was lured off the string, and I had to run upstairs to see what it was. And there I saw it for the first time, the harp. And I heard it. And the sound went right through me. It went around me, it embraced me. And I knew from that moment on that I wanted to play. No, I needed to play this instrument. And from that point on, I started practicing more and more. For 10 years, I studied 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. It was all I could think of and could do. And along the way, I had many great teachers. And the teachers all influenced me in different ways. But there's one particular teacher that I would like to tell you about today. And her name is Isabelle Moretti. Isabelle Moretti. You can almost tell how she looks like by hearing her name. A beautiful French woman, long black hair, high heels, always gracefully wearing a scarf around her neck. And she plays like a goddess. She tours the world, is everywhere, is really the sort of #1 harpist. And I had to see her. From when I was 10, this was my dream, and a couple of years ago, I finally had the opportunity to go and play for her in Paris. So I took a big bag full of music. Every note that I'd ever played, I wanted to play for her. So this bag was huge, was filled, and I took the Thalys to Paris, to the impressive conservatory there. And I went inside, and I went to her room, and there she was, sitting behind the harp, Isabelle. And she invited me to come and play, and I went behind my instrument more clumsily than ever. I dropped all my music on the floor, but I put it back on the stand, and I started to play for her. And I played the first note, and the second. I played the first bar. And suddenly I realized her hand was on my shoulder. And it was immediately clear that she wanted me to stop. So I stopped playing. And then she asked me, why do you play these notes like this? Why do you want to play this piece of music in particular for me? Why is it that you want to make music? I thought these were rather big questions for a first lesson. But it resulted in a conversation of hours in which we talked about everything. We talked about life, we talked about philosophy, about good food, about good wine, but not about the first bar. And suddenly I realized it was 7 o'clock. We had been talking for 3 hours, and I had to run off to get the last train back. So I ran off, said goodbye quickly, and ran to the station, and I made it just in time. But when I was in the train, I suddenly realized how sad I was. So sad that this moment that I've been looking forward from when I was 10 to play for her, to play for Isabelle Moretti. And it only lasted 1 bar. And now I would have to wait weeks to maybe play a second bar, hopefully a third. So I was quite devastated. I went home, I was sad, I wanted to just lie behind my sheets and not wake up. The next day, I did wake up again. I took the music out of my bag, put it on my stand, and I started playing for her. No, not for her, for myself. And I played the same piece. And I played the first note. I played the second. I played the first bar, and I finished the piece. But the notes were suddenly no notes anymore, the bars were no bars, and the piece was no piece. It had become music. And suddenly I realized what she had meant. Isabelle Moretti. With her low voice in which she would say, Remy, everything that you want, everything that you desire, it's already inside of you. The only thing that you need is patience. And I still don't have a lot of patience. But I think of her words every day because it made me realize that before I was struggling to get the technique to know how to play this instrument, but in the end, music is about life. It's about telling a story. And I think of it every day, of this story, this particular moment in my life, and it has made me the musician who I am today. So I'd love to finish this talk by playing that piece that I played for her on that day in Paris. And I would like to invite you all to think of what it is that is inside of you and is waiting to escape. Thank you very much.